The 2011 XXL freshman class featured quite a few rappers who would go on to shift the culture in the future. Lil B, Meek Mill, Mac Miller, and undoubtedly Kendrick Lamar all graced that issue's cover and made impacts on the game. Another name on that list was Meridian, Mississippi's native son, Big K.R.I.T, born Justin Lewis Scott in '86. Mr. King, remembered in time, is like a southern Kanye West, a rapper who also produces his own beats and samples heavily from older genres to create innovative sounds that blend the then and now. While some of his mixtapes deserve placement in any list naming the best southern rap releases in the 2010s, today we're only ranking the 5 official studio albums. Now, we might ruffle some feathers by going against the grain here with some of our picks, but if you have any disputes on those choices, please sound off in the comments. We know you didn't need us to tell you that, you're gonna do it anyway, but we appreciate it. Yes, we read them all. Now let's get to the list. Number 5, Digital Roses Don't Die. Big K.R.I.T's 5th and latest album as of date is not necessarily a bad LP. Yes, this album did make the list on our most disappointing albums of 2022. Make sure you go check that out too after this. But even K.R.I.T below par is miles ahead of most other contemporary rappers. This melodic, live instrumentation laced LP is a departure from the bossy, grizzled raps about old school whips, southern swag, and social commentary. Instead, this is K.R.I.T's soulful experimental release where he opts to wail and sing more than spit. This drop is less akin to UGK's Riding Dirty and closer to Andre 3000's Love Below. Now, if that's your speed, you'll find a lot to love on here, like the tracks Show You Right, Road Clean, and Come Out to Play. All these songs are well produced and are so musically intricate that you could do a dissertation on the chord arrangements. But let's be real, are you going to download or stream a Big K.R.I.T project for this? But in all seriousness, the best songs on here are the criminally short Just For You, the deep generational Way Down, and Wet Lashes and Shot Glasses, along with All the Time for the Players and Ballers. There's replay value here, but it's only for those who aren't acquainted with K.R.I.T at full capacity. Number 4, Forever Is a Mighty Long Time. Feeling like he wasn't getting the proper promotion he needed from Def Jam Records, K.R.I.T left the label after 2 albums and released his 3rd in 2017. Forever Is a Mighty Long Time is a double album that is bold and broad in its scope and is a continuation of K.R.I.T making the type of music that pleases and challenges his core fans while not trying to appease the masses like his previous 2 releases. Now, we know that this album is a critical darling and an album champion by K.R.I.T followers, but we have to keep it a buck. Forever Is a Mighty Long Time lives up to its name because it's too goddamn long. There are just as many hits as there are misses. The second disc, starting with the track Justin Scott and ending with Bury Me in Gold, sounds uncharacteristically uninspired by K.R.I.T standards as far as the production is concerned. While many of the songs are thought-provoking and have interesting lyrics like Everlasting, Price of Fame, Drinking Sessions, and The Light, they're executed with the sort of mundanity that'll put you to sleep the same way J. Cole's album For Your Eyes Only will. Even though the second part is only 45 minutes long, each song feels needlessly endless. Did Keep the Devil Off Me and Miss Georgiafornia need to be over 5 minutes long, K.R.I.T? Culturalist Theory says no. Well, we also say Mixed Messages and Higher Calling featuring Jilly from Philly did get repeat plays, but still, double disc-itis is real. But don't be turned off by this album entirely because the first half is honestly pretty damn hot. The album is the first where K.R.I.T shared production duties with other hip-hop beatsmiths, so Manny Fresh, Corey Moe, Organized Noise, and DJ Khalil all show up and show out respectively. The best songs on here are the intro, Big K.R.I.T, where K.R.I.T makes a mini Dreams and Nightmares by snapping when the beat drops, the Manny Fresh produced Subenstein, which is the 4th installment in K.R.I.T's My Sub series and features the hallmark silliness associated with the second half of the Big Timers, and Get Up to Come Down, featuring a hook from Sleepy Brown, K.R.I.T's best verse on Wax, which is the 2nd on the track, and bars from CeeLo Green, although to keep it real, we didn't really need that. Other notable tracks on the first disc are Lay Up, a smooth song only for players, and Ride With Me featuring Pimp C's ghostly vocals on the hook over a haunting beat and hard verse from Bun B. Had this album been 12 to 13 tracks, stopping at the instrumental track Justin Scott, this album would rank much higher on our list. But this is just another example for all the rappers out there that less is more. Before we get to the top 3 albums from K.R.I.T, we have to pay homage to his mixtapes. Graduating out of that 2011 freshman class with Meek Mill, Sci-Hi, and Mac Miller, mixtapes were a mandatory part of the resume. Thankfully, K.R.I.T has several that slap. If you're asking us where to start, we would have to say the beginning with K.R.I.T Was Here. Well, on second thought, spoiler alert by the way, that is his best mixtape, so starting there can get tricky. Either way, there's a whole CT list worth of quality content found in his tape catalog. One note though, we didn't include projects lyrics like "It's Better This Way" or "Return to Forever" for this episode, even though K.R.I.T sometimes refers to those as his albums, they aren't listed that way anywhere else. Anyway, you know what to do if you want to see a K.R.I.T mixtape rank list. Now, on to the top 3. Number 3, K.R.I.T Is Here. The 4th album in K.R.I.T's discography serves as a follow-up to the highly acclaimed 2010 mixtape K.R.I.T Was Here. Released in 2019, by this time, K.R.I.T was a seasoned veteran of the game who had undergone the letdown of being put on a major label's back burner while simultaneously cultivating a grassroots following. Not only had his status in the game changed by this time, but he also had a markedly different approach to his music as well, and K.R.I.T Is Here shows this, though not as much as the Left Field Digital Roses album. On this album, we hear a more self-assured K.R.I.T who comes across as if he doesn't have anything more to prove. This is heard on the first 3 tracks, K.R.I.T Here, I've Been Waiting, and Make It Easy. All of these are hot songs where K.R.I.T's confidence and lyrical competence exude, and there are quite a few jams on here. Addiction, featuring a sexily said hook from Saweetie, a hypnotic beat, and a fire verse from Wayne is a win. So is the captivating track Energy, and the tracks meant to inspire the ones in the trenches, Believe in Outer Space. The ode to H-Town, Learned from Texas, is also a slapper to swang and bang to. So if we have all these good things to say about this album, why isn't it higher on the list? Well, let's take it for granted that K.R.I.T is more than capable of making dope songs. From hooks to the bars, to the flow, to the beat, he can cover all bases. So we expect more from him than just what's serviceable, a word you hear a lot from us. Life in the Sun, High Beams, Family Matters, and Blue Flame Ballet, one of the weirdest, strangest strip club songs you'll ever hear, are just okay records, and there's no other way to say it. Not necessarily bad, but just nothing to write home about. Plus, there are a few missed opportunities on this album. Rico Love and K.R.I.T failed to recreate the magic of their collaboration on K.R.I.T's second album, and we expected more from the J. Cole feature on Prove It, other than the 2 MCs circle jerking each other about how big of a fan of one another they are. Where's the competitive spirit at, fellas? Number 2, Live from the Underground. After grinding it out for years on the mixtape and college tour circuit, Big K.R.I.T released his debut album, 2012's Live from the Underground, on the historic Def Jam Records. The album encompasses many of the elements that K.R.I.T fans love about him, like trunk rattling, soulful beats that incorporate live instrumentation, lyrics that range from braggadocio to player to introspective, and of course, songs venerating classic old school cars. The best joints on here to pop your collar to are the triumphant, confidence-boosting I Got This, the pimp-tight strip club anthem Money on the Floor featuring 2 Chainz and the legendary 8-Ball MJG, which sounds like a sequel to Tila's Show Nuff, and the adrenaline-filled My Sub Part 2, which is a cautionary tale about being wary of carjackers. The slower jams on here, Hydroplaning featuring Devin the Dude, and both versions of the title track Live from the Underground, are dripping with soul, musicality, and are great songs to hotbox in the whip. However, the most interesting tracks are Rich Dad Poor Dad, a track that subverts the narrative of Robert Kiyosaki's famous novel by combining the character and advice from the 2 fathers into one person, and the evocative Praying Man featuring the iconic guitarist B.B. King, rest in peace, a track where K.R.I.T channels the spirit of his ancestors to tell the stories of the enslaved and oppressed. There's a lot to like about this album, but where it falls flat are the attempts for K.R.I.T to reach for wider appeal by overdoing it with high energy beats and redundant themes. For example, Cool to Be Southern is meant to be a chest-thumping Southern anthem, but hits as hard on the nose as generic Christian rap. Sorry, Lecrae. Other flops are the boring erotic song What You Mean, where the Ludacris feature can't even save the track, and the needlessly aggressive Yeah That's Me, which automatically gets skipped upon repeat. Overall, K.R.I.T's debut was a solid introduction for him into the mainstream from a critical perspective, but commercially it failed, selling only 41,000 in the first week and debuting at number 5 on the Billboard 200. K.R.I.T would have more success his second go around, which leads us to here. Number 1, Cadillactica. Remember that time Outkast dropped their debut album, which was a solid southern rap project with a lot of slappers, but it wasn't entirely earth-shattering? What did they do afterward? They came back 2 years later as advanced aliens from outer space with futuristic themes and beats, out of this world lyricism, and dropped arguably one of their best albums, AT-Aliens. That's exactly what K.R.I.T did with 2014's Cadillactica, his second official studio album and last on Def Jam. Loosely a concept album about 2 celestial beings who mate to birth a galaxy-traveling sentient Cadillac who crash lands on Earth and goes through all the emotions of a human. The project is experimental, but still rooted in the elements that make K.R.I.T beloved by hip-hop heads from coast to coast. While this album leans more into the smooth soul and songs to cruise to, there are still bass rattlers like the title track Cadillactica, the boisterous Let It Show, and King of the South, where he proclaims to be just that. It's hard to argue against that claim with bars like
Raised by the king that before me, slowly crept up and still paid dues. High and body the side, the swing, the bang, the soul in the pain and the blue.
What gives this album ultimate replay value is the smoothness of the transitions of the songs on the track list. With the exception of the subpar third addition to his My Sub series as track 3, the rest of the album rolls from beginning to end. Raphael Saadiq's old school touch on the reminiscent soul food glides gently to the Rico Love-assisted R&B ballad Pay Attention, with its catchy hook and modern beat. K.R.I.T showcases the true power of his lyrical ability on this album on the poetic Standby interlude, then goes toe-to-toe with Lupe Fiasco and holds his ground on Lost Generation, where Lou controversially raps Fuck Martin Luther King. Then drops one of the coldest responses to Kendrick's Control verse with Mount Olympus. That's a mic drop moment. The other standout songs on here are K.R.I.T making southern rap tunes par excellence like Mind Control featuring E40 and Wiz Khalifa, Do You Love Me, Angels, Mo Better Cool featuring Devin the Dude and Bun B, and fan favorite Lack Lack with A$AP Ferg. All of these songs were meant to be heard while the whip is on cruise control and you're in your zone. This near perfect album is only marred by the aforementioned My Sub Part 3 and the clunky drums on Saturday's Equal Celebration featuring Jamie and Commons. The album was championed by K.R.I.T fans and critics as a major progression in his artistry and debuted at number 8 on the Billboard 200. This album is K.R.I.T's AT-Aliens and will have you spinning it again like the earth on its axis. K.R.I.T is one of only a handful of rappers from the SIP to make a splash on the mainstream hip-hop scene. But before he made it big, another MC and producer from the area cracked the doors open for him, David Banner. Check out this video where we did David Banner's albums ranked worst to best. I'm CJ Williams, appreciate you watching. Until the next time, I'm out.